Hey Stampers, it's Rachel here at rachthestamper.wordpress.com, and I wanted to show you how to make this really pretty card that I found on Pinterest. I found it on a website called Literally My Joy, and I don't remember the girl's name that makes the cards, but she made this card in, I believe it was either Early Espresso or chocolate chip. So that's the one I started with, and I thought it was so pretty because it's very simple, very monotone. So I thought, well, that'd be really pretty in black as well, just because it kind of gave it that same, almost a wintry feeling. And the funny thing is, these two cards I made either last night or the night before. And when I first made them, I thought they were pretty, but now that I've taken a moment and had to step back from them, they're even more pretty. I don't know if it's just that everything has dried, but I got the idea that maybe you could also make this card in Night of Navy because it would almost be more like a wintry card with the dark blue. Or you really could make it as a color card as long as you made the shadow washed out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you another version in Night of Navy. So this was using Early Espresso. This was using, the tree is in the basic black archival ink, and then I did the foliage in smoky slate just to give it a little bit of a color change. So what I'm going to do for this one, I have on Night of Navy base. This is cut at 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2, and then I have a 4 by 5 1/4 piece of very vanilla. And what I'm going to use is I'm going to use a Night of Navy, and I'm going to show you how I made this really pretty card. So we're going to use the tree and the foliage from the Sheltering Tree photopolymer set. So let me get, and we're going to be using for this a large block. So this is block E. Block E. And so we're going to use, you could use a lot of stuff, but we're just going to be using the foliage for the tree and the tree. You could really add a lot of other things to this now that I'm looking at it. It's kind of funny because whenever I start actually making a card, I come to the realization of all the extra things that you could add to it that for some reason I just didn't think of beforehand, or else I would show you that as well. So, not to get too distracted, I just got my Stampin' Scrub all wet, so I can clean this off when I'm done. So what we're going to do is we're going to decide where we want to place our tree. So as you can see on these two, let me bring that in so you can see them one at least a little better, is you just have to pick where you want it. I mean, this one I even added a little bit, almost looks like a bird cut out, and just a little bit of shadowing here. So we'll probably stick with the same thing with going about 2/3 of the way down. And we're just going to put 2 post-it notes across just to make a horizon line or a ground line. And again, I do want to grab really quickly my Stampin Pierce Mat. Since this is photopolymer, it really does a huge job of making the image transfer a little better. So we're going to ink this up in Night of Navy, and we're going to ink it really dark for the first tree. Let's see. Oh, I got a little bit of ink there. We'll see if we can get that straightened out. So you do want to make sure you have your trunk right at your line, but otherwise it doesn't need to be really centered on the tree any other way. So let's see if I can get this on here without getting any of the ink that got onto the bottom. And just give it a second for the ink to transfer from the photopolymer. That helps a lot with getting a nice image. Great. So there's a couple little spots there that we can definitely fill in. That won't be a problem. And now we're going to put on our foliage. And I'm going to do this crosswise. I'm just going to press just to get that on there. Okay. And we're going to just ink this up. And I'm not going to do it quite as dark just because blue, I guess blue leaves are unusual. Maybe they're not. Maybe just not where I live. And we'll put that on. Give that a second. And pull it off. That looks pretty great. Okay, and so now what we're going to do, while we have the Post-it still on there, is we're going to take our sponge dauber and we're going to just make a horizon line with this. And I'm going to try my best to keep my head out of the picture, so sorry in advance. And it just fades a little more as you go towards the edge, and honestly, really whatever you do is fine. When I did the first card, I pretty much did it identical, just, you know, a little bit of fog. And then for this one, what I did was I added in some, I don't know if you want to say that looks like mountains or low clouds or something, just to give a little bit of visual interest. Okay. And that looks about good. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to remove our post-it and we're just going to flip it for now. I'm going to just put it just opposite of how we had it. And we're going to put our tree once more back onto our block. And I just want to push this just to make sure it's adhered. And we don't want to ink this one quite as dark. So I probably should have waited to do this. I'm going to do this first. I'm going to show you. What we're going to do is we're going to figure out where we want the tree, like where we want our shadow to be. So right about there looks good. And again, if this one doesn't show up quite as dark, it's kind of nice because it does want to be, you want it to be a little bit more faded. And now I'm gonna put this back on now. Not that it really will make that much difference, but I just want to try to line up make the horizon line a little bit more similar. And same thing again, we're gonna ink this up, but very lightly because we just want it to be really light. You could even take this off a lot sooner than you normally would. Instead of counting to 10, maybe to 5. That's good enough. All right, and now what we want to do, just one more time before we actually take this mask off, is just go over, especially the edge where the trees meet right there. Just go over that a little bit, just so you still have your little shadow line. And a little bit darker at the base seems to be nice at the base of the tree where the trees meet. And then you'll remove this, and you'll see you almost every single time will have this little line, which kind of looks neat, almost like the sun glare, but you can certainly blend that in. Go ahead and just ink over that and blend it in. And it does kind of give a nice little line there. And we can also highlight this a little bit with the white gel pen. Just make this go up just a little bit. Same thing down here, just to kind of mimic the shadow. So it looks not really symmetrical, but slightly symmetrical. Gives that nice little evening look to it. This would be really pretty too if you actually did it in a like a sunset style card. Okay, so now the only thing we're going to do is I'm going to take, if I can find where I put it, just using it, and oh, there it is, backwards. I'm going to use my white gel pen, and I'm going to just put in just a little bit of, just a couple little accent marks, just where the sun might be glaring over here. Since it's casting a shadow from the back, that's one thing you just want to, not really that you're accurate, but just that you're consistent wherever you're going to put your shadows. You could also make this as if it was snow, and you know, if you had like some snow built up here, that'd be kind of neat on the tree. And then obviously there's not going to be any on the shadow. A little snow up here. Okay, and then the only other thing you want to do, I started this card without it, and it really is very pretty, but something about when you stamp the sentiment on there, it makes it look so much nicer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pick the sentiment. The only problem is with the way I did all of these cards, you kind of have to use one of the shorter ones, because they do have that one sentiment that says friendship is a sheltering tree, which is really pretty, but it just doesn't fit there quite as well. I guess you could try to break it up, but so what I'm going to use for this one, since I've used the other ones, is I'll go with Thinking of You, Thankful for You. I don't think I've used that one yet. I'll go with Thankful for You, and I'm going to just put this onto my block. And whenever I do these, I don't know, maybe it's just a habit, I usually push it down before I actually ink it. I've had things fall off occasionally, and I just don't want it to fall off now that I took this time and made this card look really pretty, and then I screw it up at the last second. So we'll go, I need to make sure this is nice and inked. Let's see. Yeah, okay. Okay, right kind of up so you can see it, because if you put it too low, it'll really blend in with that dark spot. That looks so pretty. Other thing we could do is we could go in and add a little bit of Wink of Stella, my new absolute favorite thing. Just maybe kind of along the edge here. Almost look like a little bit of a snowfall. I can't seem to do anything in a straight line because I'm not sure why. I feel like the need to make everything a little bit jazzy. I don't know. Maybe that's a good way to describe it. But this Wink of Stella pen, I tell you, this is like my truly new favorite thing. I ordered one, just was, going to try it and see. Oh, what the heck. I'll see what everybody is talking about. Wow, this pen is really awesome. As soon as I used it, I think 3 times, I ordered another one just in case. Okay, so just a little bit of glitter, and it kind of gives that little snowy effect. This is the same way, though, as the aqua painter is. You just want to make sure that you clean your pen out afterwards, because if not, the next thing you'll color will have navy in it, and it might ruin your project there. So just keep that in mind. Make sure you clean it out, clean it off once you're finished using it on whatever color you're using it on. And since this is wet, I'm gonna put the adhesive on directly onto the card base. Another thing you could do if you wanted to is you could make another layer in between this. Instead of just laying it directly onto the navy, you could put you used to have that really pretty silver paper that would look really pretty on this. You could put that. You could put a white layer, would really make it pop a little bit. Even a black layer would look really pretty. So we're gonna just put a little bit of the adhesive on here. And you always want to remember, when you have a dark card, you want to give yourself a extra piece to put on the inside so you can actually see your writing, unless you're going to write in white, which I have done before, but it takes a lot more patience when you're writing in white on a dark surface than vice versa. Alright, so I don't want to touch this too much since that Stella's still wet on there. But anyway, so there's our card, which I really am impressed with how this turned out. I like that almost better than the original one now. So anyway, here we go. This is Night of Navy. This is the Archival Black, and then I used the Smoky Slate as the contrasting leaf color. And then this one I used Early Espresso, chocolate chip, and then I actually used a little bit of the Soft Suede to color in the base of the ground part of the card, because I started off with I think it was even the chocolate chip, and it was still a little bit dark. So I went with the Soft Suede instead, because I thought that was really pretty. So I hope that these cards have given you some inspiration. I mean, I know it's not winter time, but if you're here in the Mid-Atlantic, it almost feels like it keeps going back to winter, because Mother Nature can't make up her mind. If we're going to have snow, we're going to have sunshine. I hope you like this video, though. I hope it's given you some ideas. And if you have any questions or thoughts, comments, questions, please feel free to shoot me an email at rachthestamper@gmail.com. You can leave me a comment on my blog on this post at rachthestamper.wordpress.com. And if you don't have a demonstrator, I'd love to be your demonstrator. You can reach me at rachthestamper.stampinup.net. Hope to see you guys soon. Take care.